Hey friends, KFT, today in Kelly's Cars, look at that. The square body is up on jack stands. And since the last time you guys saw it, it actually has a nose on it and almost looks like a truck. So I was hoping to put a video out at least once a week, but honestly, real life has just gotten in the way, and I haven't done a lot on the truck since the last time you guys saw it. Obviously, I turned it around, but it does have a tailgate back on it. We've got a nose back on it. And like I say, it almost looks like a truck. We did take a death wheel to that rust in the floor. I need to death wheel it some more and cut more of that rust out. And then get that patch panel so we can tack it back in and get it all stitched up and pretty. And 6 months ago, when I saw that Papa K10 in the boneyard down the street from my house, I happened to hide two fenders. They were off of that K20. Well, they're off of different trucks, but were later put on that K20 into another truck. And then like a month ago, I saw one of the fenders still in the car where I left it. I bought this fender, again, 5-6 months ago, for the idea that possibly it might go in this truck if I pick the truck up. That's one that had green spray paint all over it. I stripped off that green spray paint and found untouched, beautiful, pristine white paint. We did the Jimmy Carter redneck power thing to it, but this fender was its companion. And yes, you can see where it's got some metal damage there where people tried to pull out the emblems, but we also have that filler panel here off of an 80. However, we're going to do the right and normal and logical thing. Instead of worrying about the drivetrain or the missing door or the lack of windshield, we have to let the long beds live. We have to praise the Lord. So I got these drop spindles off of Facebook Marketplace last night. Good deal. I think I paid $150 for them for a 7387 for a 1.25 caliper. And we're going to throw them on. Will it affect drivability at all? Absolutely not. Will it get the truck on the road sooner? Absolutely not, but we're still doing it. And we're also waiting on a flip kit, but I was just underneath the truck and saw these home-brewed drop shackles, which I think is just mildly hilarious. So we're going to roll with it. We're going to use these drop shackles. Ain't care how ugly they are, but we're going to do the flip kit here soon. I'm waiting on them to show up from Amazon, but let's go put these spindles on in the meantime. You know, I think it's safe to say this caliper pin is just a little bit gacked. I should probably go get another one. Now, I wonder if now would be a good time to go get some C10 or I'm sorry, C20 or C30 bigger calipers. I know that I did that on my OBS. I went and got bigger calipers, and this is it's very similar stuff. Maybe I'll do that for this one, but I know that I need another master cylinder because that one is absolutely gacked. Alright everybody, I just want to remind you guys, I'm just some idiot on YouTube. Don't take what I say as solid advice. But I might have cut one loop off that spring. Screw it, I'm going to get some decent springs here, but I just want to get some stance on this thing. And, well, we're going to try this right now. You cut one loop off, it generally drops about 2 inches with a 3-inch drop. Yeah, we're going to do that. So let's go put this thing back in. And we've got everything here ready to go. I mean, these things weren't on tight at all, these ball joints were, which tells me I probably should get new ball joints. But I still need the truck to roll around, so we're just going to put these on. And I'll just order some new ball joints and throw them on when they show up. Alright, I'm not going to bore you guys with the specifics, but there you go. We've got one drop spindle already on, ready to go. Yeah, it needs ball joints. I'll get those directly, but for the meantime, it's going to be lowered, it's going to look cool, even if it doesn't have an engine or drivetrain in it. Alright, here we go. We got Jimmy Buffett playing on the TV. Look at that. We've got the passenger side jacked up on this thing. The driver's side actually doesn't look that much different than what I started with. You got to remember, there's no engine in this thing. So let's wash, rinse, and repeat and get that spindle and cut a loop off of the coil because we're ghetto like that onto the passenger side. And just so we're aware, this thing does have one of these 5x7 rallies on it. So no idea whatever happened to the stock steel that was on it, but I was thinking about doing the whole dog dish thing and just lowering it like that, but I want some wider wheels, and like I say, I want to find a set of 5-on-5 Aero or Bassett or some sort of NASCAR looking wheels, because that's kind of what I'm going for, is like the whole Hayabusa racing 70s 80s kind of stock car. If NASCAR Super Truck was a thing back then, that's what I'm going for. But it will make for a nice pair if I don't get a set of 5 matching NASCAR wheels. And I did actually have a set of these on my last OBS that I had, White Trash, and I did actually get a spare off of a G10 Boogie fan, which is actually skinnier. It doesn't have as much lip as this, but there we go. We've got one C10 rally wheel, and honestly, if you ever look at the C-body Chrysler rally wheels, I swear they look like they're the same damn wheel. So a couple of days ago, I saw a huge Black Widow that was hanging out here, and well, she got torched. I'm normally always about saving the spiders, except for Black Widows, and she was big. Let me tell you, if she had a name like Lindsay or Brooke or Ashley, I would have been all over her. Big old swollen butt, and I'm usually for that. Like I said, I'm usually all about saving the spiders, but Black Widows, nope. They get the automatic death from me. And well, since I've got to hit some of these pipes, or hit some of these nuts and bolts over here, we're gonna burn all that. But haven't seen any spiders show up recently, so sorry Black Widow, we're not here for it. We're just gonna burn all that. So, but there we go. So let's hit this stuff with fire. Let's fix everything with fire. That's what I'm here for. Let's do that. Hey friends, KFD, check it out. It's been about 20 minutes or so. We got the other spindle back on. I still have to tighten up that lower ball joint, but what I'm hoping is if the full weight of the truck is on that lower ball joint, it'll be completely seated and it won't spin. If not, I've got to put ball joints in this thing, which this suspension is just completely shot anyway, let's be real. But we did manage to cut one loop off of that coil. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I just want to keep the truck rolling. It's going to look cool. And in the meantime, what the other thing I'm going to do is, you got to remember, is I actually want to get my hands on another frame. And I want to graft some modern independent rear suspension. Like if I can get my hands on a 2012 Camaro or even C4 front and rear suspension, we're going to do that. I'll have that trim get bent. I got to look at that. But that's what I want to do in the meantime, is just cut the coils. We're going to be ghetto. Put the drop springs, the drop spindles on there, and get some calipers, get a master cylinder, pack it and send it, and call it a day. So let's put the wheel on. Let's see how much more load this thing actually is. Okay, well, something is rubbing somewhere, and it could be that lower ball joint just not behaving. So I need to get another ball joint. But can we talk about how dummy low this truck is? I mean, look at that. Compared to the stock ride height. And yeah, this side is a little bit higher, but honestly, that might be because I've got that goofy looking tractor tire on the back of this thing, so it's always kind of had a starboard list. But it is dummy low, and that's even without an engine in it. So I cannot wait to see how stupid low this thing is once I get that flip kit in there. And then let's get some NASCAR style wheels and tires on it, get a drivetrain in it, and then I want to get some 1/2-inch square box tubing back here, get some and cover it in like some thin aluminum sheeting, put a ducktail spoiler back here, and then I'm going to put a toolbox right here. These seats are not going to live here, so it'll be a tonneau cover back here, NASCAR style wheels lowered to the ground, and yeah, just a stock cobbled together junkyard motor at this point. I don't care. As long as it's running and it's another great day of saving the squares, I'm here for it. So stay tuned, friends. I'm going to go grab the drop shackles. They should be here soon. I might put it in this video. If not, it'll be another video for another day. Hey friends, it's been a few weeks. I've been dealing with work stuff and have not got a chance to touch this gold garbage sitting in the garage. But what do I have? I have a flip kit. And with a flip kit, that also means that we have to cut that area right there in the frame. And you can actually go buy plenty of flip kits that already pre-made, and you just cut it and bolt it in. But I have some metal. This is 1/8 inch stock, which is approximately the same thickness as the frame. And we also have our buddy over here, Mr. Tombstone Welder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a section of the frame out that will give the clearance for the axle on that flip kit, and then weld in some steel over here, and just make sure it's got plenty of support in the back. Weld the back side of it as well, and put the axle above the leaf spring so that way this truck could be more low. Hey friends, KFD, so this is what we got right here. I actually measured it out with a Sharpie, and what I'm going to do is cut that section out with the death wheel. I think I'm going to go with that angle right there, but pretty much use a protractor, and you can see I use a straight edge. So we lined it all up with a Sharpie, and we're going to commence to cutting. Hey friends, KFD, check it out. We're kind of the last stage here of cutting out. Can't really see it too well, but we are cutting out that frame. And one of the things I want to mention is that whenever you are cutting the passenger side, you want to make sure that you unbolt and move the brake lines out of the way. Now I cut through the brake lines just because I'm going to be replacing the entire brake lines on this thing because they're already cut up front. So it's not the end of the world. But if you are trying to not cut brake lines, take a 1/2 inch and take the clip, take a 1/2 inch socket, and that will unbolt the clip, retaining that brake line, and move it up out of the way so it's not going to be impacted by any cutting or welding or anything like that. Okay friends, so you can see right here where I cut out that frame section. And then what we did is we got our good friend Mr. Ruler and we made some measurements. Then we went over here to the workbench, and as you can see, it's already formed up and ready to go, but I basically used our friend here, Mr. $20 bench vise, as a sort of temporary kind of sheet metal brake. I actually had to scribe gently some fold lines with the death wheel, and then just eyeballing it right now, this is actually how it's supposed to sit, just kind of like that. Well, it's actually it's going to sit like that in the frame of the truck. Let's get that right. This is forward just like the truck. We've got a radiused end just like the fold in the frame is, and then from there we're going to fire up Mr. Welder and see if we can tack this thing in and massage it into place. Okay friends, so here is that completed radius and that minor trimming. This is the outside of the truck, that's the inside of the truck. This is where that frame radius bend is. Now we don't have to do one up here because I already cut it out. So let's do some more measuring and see if we can tack it in the truck. We've got our buddy here, Mr. Magnet, to help us out, and we'll clip it in and see what happens. Okay friends, I also want to point out I'm a strong proponent of Mike Rowe's concept of safety third, and I am always trying not to burn myself. In this case, when I was doing all this cutting, I was in shorts and flip-flops, stepped on a piece of hot metal, now my foot hurt. So we actually went and changed, put boots on. I'm about to weld. I've learned the hard way that if you start welding for a marathon session, dodging sparks, you're going to get some nice UV or second-degree burns. So we don't do that anymore. So I'm going to start with the Tombstone welder. I've got it set at like 75 amps. And listen, I do not claim to be the greatest welder. In fact, I'm a hack. We know this. I've only been stick welding for maybe a few months. I tried a little bit when I was in A school, but that was really about it. So this is not the first time I've welded on this truck. I had to weld up a mount. One of the engine mounts was kind of cracked that goes in the frame. And so I welded that a couple months ago, or maybe last month or so. But this is probably the first major welding project I'm doing on the truck, and it's all practice. So my welds are not going to be pretty at all, again, because I'm still fairly new to this, but the fact of the matter is I'm out here and I'm doing it. That's the important part. I'm fully prepared for ridicule about my welding, but like I say, I've only been using this for a couple months, and I've been practicing a lot with this, and all I'm saying is my welding will continually be getting better. Trust me, I've seen worse stuff at SEMA. But we're going to make sure this is reinforced. We're going to make sure this doesn't crack and this doesn't become a rolling road hazard for other people. But half the fun of this is actually just going out and just attempting it and doing it yourself. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So here's the finished well, at least primered C-notch. And I managed to also throw some section of the older plate back there. That's actually off the old frame, and yes, I know these welds are not the prettiest. I'm working on it. I'm going to probably do a couple more passes anyway, because now the more I look at it, the uglier these things are. Yikes. Okay, friends, so it's been a little bit. You can see how dirty I am. We're actually at the conclusion of doing one side of the flip kit, and I'm sorry that I didn't show you guys all of this, but I just got in the moment started going. So we got the ugly welds with the C-notch, and then we have right here this perch. So basically what I had to do was unbolt the leaf spring, remove the leaf spring out, jacked it up, and then just put it back, just put the axle over the leaf spring once I remove the leaf spring from the truck completely. It was easier for me than just dropping the rears and pulling it out, because I'm still have one wheel on the ground on the other side. So essentially, you're gonna need 13/16 nuts and bolts. There's 3 bolts that are going to attach the leaf spring, 2 on the rear shackle, 1 in the front. Get that backed out. Then you get your, I think it's 13/16 or maybe 15/16 U-bolts for the spring and axle pad, and unbolt your shock and let her rip. So that's what we got going on right now. So we're going to see the difference, and we're going to see the difference of how much the flip kit makes here, because I still have the other side that I have not touched. That's going to be a tomorrow problem. Plus, I don't have that much welding rod left, so that might be a next week problem. So stay tuned. So I've got this huge, really tall, old, like Sears and Roebuck or maybe a JCPenney tire that's on that rear left corner. It's an old truck tire. It looks like a tractor tire, and so it's kind of always given this truck a little bit of a starboard list. Plus, that A-arm on this side is pretty blown out, which I'm sure is contributing to it. But it's seriously crazy dummy listing now. So this is without an engine. We can already see how low this is. But come to the back and take a look at how dummy low this thing is. This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait. Stick along for the journey. We've got actually a surprise coming up here next week. But as you can see, this is the amount of contrast between the flip kit not being on one side versus being on the other side. And we can already see how much of a difference it makes. So we've got the spring on top on this side. We've got the spring on the bottom on this side. And yes, I've got other shocks I'm going to get for it. But there you go. It is time for me to go in the pool and go drink a beer. It's hot. Okay, it is day 2 of ruining the C15, and we're already starting out with hacking some stuff out. So basically what I did was I utilized this piece yesterday and used this hole in the middle right there as a sort of guide, and just flipped it around because it's mirrored, put this side up against the frame, and was able to make the identically same cut in the identically same place. So now I'm about to whack this thing out. There's a clip back there of, I think it's a fuel vent line or something, which I'm going to probably end up using because I'm going to put a Suburban tank in the back of this thing. But I don't know, I might just end up buying a fuel line anyway, since I'm already putting brake lines back here. But we're gonna get that little clippy clip out. It's not actually a 9/16 screw, and then whack this thing out and start measuring it. I'm gonna basically, what I thought of, I should have done this yesterday, is I'm gonna take that piece that's there right now and just basically measure that strip of metal that's gonna fill in there just against that. So we're gonna do that. I'll show you guys how to do that here in a second, or try not to skip steps. But anyway, in the meantime, let's get back to beating on this truck and ruining this perfectly good C15. Okay, so I never once claimed to be a know-it-all. In fact, I'm gonna call myself an idiot, because this is what... So that is the wire that goes back here to the taillights. Yeah, don't be like me. Make sure that you actually just remove everything out of the way before you get crazy with the death wheel. Okay, so here we go. This is what I did. We have this section of metal that I cut out. And honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory. We just kind of measured up. Right there, made a mark. Right there made a mark. Right there made a mark. We added in a little radius that's going to match that outer section of the frame rail right there. We're going to scribe a very fine line right there across with the death wheel, then put it in the bench vise and just bend it to a congruent angle. Okay, so here you guys go. This is basically what I did. I mean, the fit is not exactly perfect, but for me, I'm happy. I can do some filing and grinding. I just want to get somewhere close to the reservation. As you can see, this is the old section of the frame I cut out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to harvest some of this metal on the backside here and utilize it on the frame. So essentially what I'm going to do is, you can see right here, well, we've got this section sitting in there. The frame goes like that. Well, right here, I'm going to weld a strip of the original stuff just to kind of structure it, give it some structure and box it in a little bit. That's what I did on the other frame yesterday, on the other side over here. So we're going to do that again. Okay, so I got caught up in the moment and kind of forgot to document a lot of this, but we've got some ugly welds, we got some okay-ish cuts, and we have a leaf spring removed out of the truck. We're just going to pull it out, slip it in. That way I don't have to do the roll the truck out nonsense. We're going to put it in and hopefully get this thing sitting kind of normal now and low. Well, friends, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Saving Another Square here at Kelly's Cars. So far, we got the C-notch done. We got the flip kit installed, and I'm sorry, folks, I got a little carried away the other day when I was putting this thing back together, so I didn't film it. Plus, I may or may not have had the truck fall off a jack stand. Didn't film that either. It was a lot of fun, but I didn't have to go to the ER. My shoulder hurts a little bit. Be safe whenever you're working on your junk in your own garage. Don't be like me. So, the plan so far, I was talking about getting a frame and redoing that. Nope. I want to get this thing together by October, November time frame. We've got Roadkill duct tape drags down Tucson in October. We've got Dino's get down in November. I want to get this junk going. The other great part, though, and you'll see this in the next episode, is the wheels. I have to go out to Hemet, California to pick up the wheels, but they are exactly what I'm looking for. They're going to completely transform this truck. We got to address this whole listing issue, and I'm sure by getting correct size or the same size tires all the way around, it's going to help that a little bit. But instead of getting some wild, crazy Corvette suspension or anything up front, I'm just going to rebuild this what I have for right now because I want to get this going. We'll get some tubular A-arms in it. We'll get tie rod ends. We'll get the whole nine and get this thing handling halfway decent. As far as a power plant goes, I think what I'm going to do is just go run with an LS. I'm seeing NV500 5-speed transmissions, and while yes, we'd all like to put in a T56 or a TR6060, I want 3 pedals. We're going to do that for now, again, just to get this junk running, and it's also going to help alleviate the Carolina squat this thing has because of the lack of an engine. So stay tuned. This is an entire process. I promise I will work on my video editing skills as well, my camera skills. I was really kind of bummed that I didn't get any footage of me welding or me actually working on stuff. And I'm used to doing this little clip-by-clip format of social media, so I'm going to try and do long-form format so you guys aren't hearing me say, hey friends, KFD, after every scene. But stay tuned, friends. I'm stoked. I cannot wait to see the progress on this junk. We need to make this thing low, which we pretty much already did. Maybe level for now. It's already long. It's already ugly. We need to make it loud. So stay tuned, friends. We're going to save the squares. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.